Hello everybody and welcome to round 5 of the Virtual Open Wheel series here on R Factor 1. Today we are in Canada at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve and we are having 2 races today as per usual. But before we get started, let's run through some facts about this circuit. So, oh wait, that is the wrong... I forgot to put the facts thing in. Bear with me one quick second and we will sort that out. Alright, here we go. So, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve has one action spot mainly that we all know of. The famous Wall of Champions is known to be a race ruiner if it gets hit at any point. And it does get hit, with many Formula 1 champions hitting that wall in their time. Turn 3 is where in 2019 Sebastian Vettel had his famous incident with Lewis Hamilton, getting a 5-second penalty, and he famously moved the first, second and third boards. And then in 2011, Jenson Button brought home his McLaren for a famous recovery drive victory within the changeable conditions of the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. So, on to facts about this implying 2 vows. So, this is round 5 of Vows Season 4. 86 E-Racing is top of the table and continue their dominance. This was the second Vows race ever last season to receive a highlights video on the Virtual Open Wheel Series YouTube channel, which you are watching now. So, before we do anything else, with Max Weichel getting some airtime there, having a date with the Wall of Champions, let's have a look at the drivers and teams standings. So here are the teams standings on your screen right now. So 86 E-Racing hold first spot on 215 points, and then a gaping void until you find Copic Motorsport behind them on 139 points. Then it's Team Iris on 65 points, Aspentino Force Polona on 58 points, Reading Game Studios Racing on 52 points, Velocity Motorsports 47, Mazumda Motorsport 28, Goma are on 9, Ozone Invictus Motorsports are on 2, and Duststream Krauset Grand Prix are on 1 point. So let's have a look at the driver's standings then. So the driver's standing as it stands are Justin Meister on 109 points, but only 2 points behind is his 86 teammate Max Weichel, who we are following now on your well, would be on your screens if this huge picture didn't obscure it. And then in third place is Jakub Kabarsk, who is on 89 points. Then it's Massimilo Ribioli on 72. And then Dimitri Giannopoulos on 65 points. We're not going to run through everyone because, as you can see, there are a lot of drivers on there. But yes, so that is how we run heading into this round 5. So I am joined today by Ron Squire. So, Ron, how are you today? What do you think this race is going to hold for us as Max Weichel ruins his rear wing there?
Well, we're hoping to get some excitement into this Grand Prix. We're just looking for someone who isn't a 8-6 on the podium. I mean, actually mixed it up for a little bit. This is Ferrari years of 2000 to 2004. It needs to be mixed up.
So, so obviously we've had some very good pace shown from, let's find him, the finally going on to a team, Simon Kuksk. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but luckily we were able to snap him up. So he was a shock last weekend with a brilliant finish. So what do you make of him? Do you reckon he's going to keep up that form, or do you reckon it was just a fluke from round 1? He sits in P5 currently.
Well, there's still a lot to come from him. I mean, if he's performing well at the Hungaroring, he can actually perform well here. I mean, 5th place for him just starting out, it's actually a good turn of pace, or maybe a turn of fortune. But then again, we really have to see what will happen in the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yes, of course. So, next, on to this is Goma that we're riding on. So obviously Goma haven't really had that great start to their Virtual Open Wheel Series life this season. That they've been fairly underwhelming. What do you make about this?
Well, they've just started out, haven't they? They're still no, but they're not doing too badly. There's still, I'm saying this too often now. There's still a long way to go, but I don't know if they can improve, they can do it. If they can't, they won't. That's simple as that.
Of course, this series goes by very quickly because, of course, it's only an 8-round season, which is perfect. It's short, it's sweet, and it lets people go into other leagues that they need to, which is what Valves is all about, isn't it? It's getting prepared for that jump into R Factor 2 or into other simulators. It is very much probably one of the, well, since FSR became Ryan, spinning off there, also meeting the Wall of Champions, but it is basically it's known as the Sweaty League for one reason and one reason only, and that's because, well, we've got GPVWC teams competing in 8-6, and you know it's very much it is very much the last step before you get into those, with basically a repeat of the Vettel incident happening. So so obviously there have been like people saying that the season is too short, that the calendar should be added. There should be more added to the calendar. What do you think about the length of the season in Vals?
Well, it's actually kind of, you could actually compare it to FSR back in the likes of 2014. They actually had less than 15 races, and that reason is to accommodate drivers' fitness. I mean, fatigue also comes into play. In that they want to race and thinking I'm too tired, I don't want to race. There's all sorts of things going on there. So it's not just down to the length of the calendar. It's all about everything that comes into it. If you have a longer calendar, the fatigue is going to be extensive. Therefore, more drivers are unwilling to race. But if you do have a shorter calendar, you will have a complaint saying, "Why isn't the calendar longer?" But trust me, the driver fatigue will be lesser by then. So it's good to have a good balance of things, but don't make it too long. That's what I'm trying to say.
And already, just on the screen, we've seen plenty of people having a date with the Wall of Champions. Do you think that's going to play into the race today? Because obviously it is known as the very treacherous spot on this track. Max Weichel managing Max Weichel getting too much curb and like riding the Wall of Champions pretty much sideways on two wheels. So obviously we're going to see, do you think we'll see incidents in the race involving that horrendous wall?
There's certainty. There's absolute certainty that there's going to be incidents involving the wall. But if drivers keep their wits about them, the wall could be avoided at all costs. It can be.
So, as we are halfway through the season, Ryan again spinning. Every time we see Ryan, he is spinning. But obviously with season 5, that is a huge crash from Max Weichel. But no, as we get to more crashes, there's constant crashes. As we get towards the business end of the season, which we are at now with 8-6, I think is it next race they can wrap up their title if they win here or get a 1-2. It must be. But yeah, so with the next season's cars, now I have got some speculation that Max has told me about, which I'm not going to share because that's not my job to do. But what do you think that, like, compared to last season's cars, this season cars have been better? Because I mean, personally, I think last season cars were a handful. They were horrible, and this season they've been all right. Obviously flippy, but they've been fairly good.
I disagree. They were this stage of last season. The cars were actually better in terms of performance. Everyone was actually getting well with them. This year they're absolutely bouncy, absolutely all over the place. It's not good if you want to actually keep it on the road. And I did anticipate that we were starting with the likes of Formula 2 from 2009, and we will gradually go up and up and up. And the thing is, I was hoping for a bigger car, like a World Series by Renault car or a Formula Nippon, before maybe eventually get into Formula 1. But Max just like, if we do that, then there will be no progression. and just just going back and forth. The thing is, there is no progression this season whatsoever. I mean, if you want to make sure that you have a good car for the season, you need to choose one that's actually got some stability in it. Because cars bouncing all over the place just doesn't look good on the league. It doesn't really look good.
But then again, of course, there is entertainment value in that for us on the stream. But with more incidents with Peter Jones being collected by his teammate. But anyway, so what would you think about the prospect of there being a Halo introduced next season in the mod that we use?
Well, when the Halo was first introduced in real life, I disliked it, but I've actually kind of grown onto it for a bit. I mean, it's still not a pretty good sight, but it's on there for the right possible reason. So I welcome the Halo with open arms, but just improve the physics. That's all I'm trying to say. Just improve the physics.
Yeah, of course, I know from what I've spoken to Max, I know mostly in the pipeline is possibly like a 2019-ish, that kind of area, Formula 2, Formula 3 sort of car. And obviously they include the Halo, and I know in R Factor the Halo isn't the best. I know in Assetto Corsa it is horrific, because especially on 2D because of the nasty sort of just the fact that there's a huge performance hit. Not so much in R Factor. I've driven some cars with the Halo in R Factor, and actually I take back what I just said. It adds quite a bit to the experience, and it makes you feel more real having the Halo there. It makes you feel like you're actually driving a car rather than just you're in a video game, which completely psychological to me. But like, you know, it does look like the visor cams that you see from like Formula 1 and stuff.
Yeah, it is, but just because we actually don't know if the Halo will really take into account about this, because we already know that the Halo still needs work on. I mean, Halo doesn't. I'm just having it about now. I really don't know what I'm going to say about this, but the Halo, just get on with it, basically. Just get on with it.
Yeah, no, I'd say I would fairly agree with that. That we do have to challenge, because like obviously if we say that Vows is the step into R Factor 2, which is something I've been playing up quite a bit in the season, mainly just to brag to people that and prove that this isn't just some dudes playing a video game, which, let's face it, there's always going to be a certain extent of it's just a video game. But, you know, trying to prove how competitive this series is. And I think maybe a Halo, because you've got to get used to the Halo. You can't be going into R Factor 2 where there's like most of the time a Halo and it being like, oh, you know, it's, you know, what am I going to do? I can't drive with a Halo. Is there a way to turn it off? That's just not possible.
Yeah, I mean, like, Codemasters trying to like add an option when F1 2018 came out saying you can have the pillar for the Halo off. It's like, is that it? I mean, we might as well have the shield in. We might as well have the shield in rather than just the Halo, because I mean, you already heard about IndyCar trying out this new shield Halo combination, which looks good in the long run, but people are saying it's absolutely hideous.
It's hideous. It's completely hideous. It makes me want to puke.
Yeah, I know, like a Porsche Panamera, but it's done for the right possible reasons, and I'm just saying it a long time now. Get on with it.
One final point quickly. Obviously, I hate the aero screen. I think it's horrendous, but we saw what happened to people like Antoine Hubert and Peroni, and you know, even though Peroni survived, he still got hurt. You have to have safety innovations there. But anyway, so enough babbling now. We will be getting into qualifying in 1 minute time. 30 seconds now, pretty much. So on, quick. So we need 3 predictions from you. Qualifying, pole, race. Pole, race 1 winner, race 2 winner. Who are you going?
Okay, pole position is going to be Max Schreichl. Race 1 winner is either going to be one of the 86. I think, yeah, it's going to be 50-50 if they're either going to be one of the 86 cars, and almost definitely for race 2, Jakob Kalbusitz. He, like you said in the last stream, he is the king of race 2.
Alright, well, I've got one for you to throw into the ring. I have to go with Peter Jones for race 1. I think as long as he makes no mistakes, Ryan Mazumdar could get in race 2 in his new Invictus car, which he will be in for the rest of the season. And then for pole, obviously I'm going to have to go for Justin Meister. He has 2 tenths up on his teammate. Justin Meister is basically just the king of qualifying, full stop.
Yeah, but I will say a little bit of a cross rivalry considering Ryan Mazumdar. You probably didn't really hear about this, but behind the scenes in FSR, Ryan Mazumdar has joined the NRWO in terms of its scouting operation and seeking different opportunities, and the partnership is actually going well so far. So fair play to Ryan on that.
Well, without it turning into a chat show for both of our teams, obviously he's done that rather successfully with my team as well. But here we go for qualifying now. We'll follow Joe Gillett out and we'll ride on board with Joe Gillett.
Yes, qualifying.
So everyone preparing for the pit lane, everyone leaving the pit lane now. So
get as hold as he can. Well, looks like it's Crusette and Kalbasic just messed about going through the pit lane exit. It's Crusette who is actually leading, or actually it's going to be Kalbasic who's going to take his place. Then Baguette, then Reichel going into the first chicane, and Crusette just going alongside him, and Mazumdar and Gillette Lafreniere behind him, and yeah.
So, if you were racing today, would you be looking for a tow from your teammate down that main straight? The back straight, sorry. Because it is a huge back straight and a tow could really help you there. Maybe we'll see that with the 8-6 because they are probably the most formed team in terms of being just so OP. Surely a tow would make them even more OP. Maybe Invictus now look like they could possibly also be giving each other a tow down the back straight. Ryan giving Joe a tow, but we'll see how that pans out in a lap or so's time. So we're gonna ride in the visor of Joe Gillett here. I think this is Joe Gillett. Please excuse me if I'm wrong. It is, yeah. So let's start the lap, and I will do a live commentary of this lap because it's the only time I get to sound slightly intelligent during this, even though I don't know what I'm talking about. So he's going to get a very good exit there, staying well clear of the Wall of Champions. Turn 1 is going to be quite treacherous in the race, as it normally is. He's going to brake just before the 50 board at about 75 metres. He's going to try and avoid German there. Second gear, getting on the power quite late there because of German. The back end kind of snapped out there, had to do that. And now in turn 3, Vettel's famous spot, he's through there nicely, not using too much curb on the outside, but he's going to clip it on the inside, hug quite tight, and then it's about 75 metre again. Third, we've had a slight bit of a lag there, but looks like he's in fine position with German to give him a tow now. 100 metre board down to third, hits the curb, runs kind of too much curb there, almost hits the gravel. But he's now going to brake again at the 100 for the hairpin. He's going to go round in second. It looks like he's not going to get a better exit than German, but that means he will be getting a tow down this back straight now. So you can see the car shaking quite a bit from the speed that they are going. 271 kilometres per hour, or 280, sorry. That's changed since the start of the season. German going wide there and collecting him. And that's going to be a penalty after the race, surely. But let's see where he comes home here. After that, Joe Gillett, he goes 7th, 4 seconds behind pole, and he is going to be fuming with that. What the hell was German doing?
He needs to look where he's going. Seriously. I mean, he didn't really look where he was going when he was trying to avoid Mazumdar, just going through the first chicane, going for the first corner there. But yeah, just not really looking good for Joseph at the moment. But there's still how many minutes to go in the session?
Qualifying is 15
11
minutes
to go. 11 minutes. 11 minutes to go. Peter Jones saying sorry about that. I wasn't expecting if I was to down. Peter, what happened to Peter Jones? That's a thing.
I think Peter Jones was also in a little tussle with German.
Oh yeah, it was, and that was straight after the Birmingham incident as well.
But I've just noticed, I don't know what car he's in, but Jason.
Yeah, Jason was actually driving for Clipper, a temporary team that is filled. As fills up the spots that avoided by the NRWO. Jason Ho, he's a quick guy. I'll give him that. He's a quick, but this season really isn't planning out for him as much as he wanted it to. He's just going over the curbs there. That is not the scenario that he wanted, and I don't. If this is his outlap, then he should be fine with that. Yeah, it's his outlap. He should make sure to concentrate better on that now. Going for the first, nice and smoothly there. Yes, he does so. Coming up to the first chicane, Vettel's favourite spot, as you pointed out. Getting on a little bit oversteer just going through there as he goes down to the second chicane, aka Vettel's least favourite spot back in 2011. Cough, cough. And just going through the curbs just nicely there. Nice smooth exit from Jason Ho. Going down, he's keeping it really on the power now. Going down into the third chicane of the circuit. This is one of the trickier chicanes to deal with, because you will clip yourself out if you hit the curbs wrong. Going down to the hairpin, which he needs to brake very carefully for. There we go, just going round. And that is quick fashion. Quick and smooth. That is from Jason Ho. Now coming up to the last couple of corners, just coming up before the wall of champions. So Jason Ho just coming up. He's going to brake, coming through right, then left, real smooth there. A little bit of two wheels off the track a little bit. But let's see what position that Jason Ho will get. He gets third position. A fantastic lap from Jason Ho.
I mean, that close-up of that final corner there, that chicane, if that isn't Twitter banner worthy for him, I don't know what is. But no, I was thinking how absolutely amazing the Clipper car looks. It's so simple, but like just a nice livery.
It harks back to the McLaren of 2017. Am I correct if I'm wrong, or 2018?
Well, yeah, just McLaren in the modern era. It looks really nice. Anyway, moving on. Let's have a look at your current provisional pole, Sissa. Max Reichel in the 8.6 E-Racing car here, heading through.
My prediction is correct so far.
Oh, yes, your prediction is correct so far. We have got 7 minutes left in this qualifying session. Perhaps Justin Meister will throw his hat into the ring. He's yet to set a lap. Maybe he's waiting for a tow from his teammate in his outlap. But we'll have to see. Perhaps my prediction is correct. Oh, Justin Meister's now on the track. He comes across the line for his outlap, I think it was. Going on to his hot lap.
He's on his hot lap, yeah.
So nicely through, and German hits someone else. That is he's probably going to end up getting about 7 penalties after this race, which is not good for anyone.
The whole event. He's that dangerous.
Well, I'd say dangerous is probably the wrong word. We all have our bad days.
Yeah. I had only one particular bad day. Back in Melbourne in 2013 for the GPVWC, and I was pretty much labelled as dangerous back then. So
is this when you mentioned a couple of streams ago that's why you've been you've been banned for 6 years?
No. No, I'd be banned permanently. And the fact, and it's not due to my dangerous driving. It's due to the fact that the admin has taken so many chances with me and trying to resolve my behavioural issues, and and I didn't improve on that. But I improved on that since then. But it's too late. But after the race in Melbourne, I was actually given a parking ban until I actually improved on my driving, and it took me nearly half of the Canter until I returned for the race at Silverstone, and it was the first online race to feature the modern R-Factor Silverstone track that was created by one Sean Stroud, aka What 21 or West 21A. So, and I actually did well on that track. I actually finished my first clean race there, and I finished 19th out of a possible 31, 32, I think. I'm not too sure along the lines of that, but I was slow that day, but it was still a good finish for me. But then afterwards, I was just having lag after lag after lag, purely due to a failing hard drive disk. And when I got it fixed by Indianapolis, I was already on tenterhooks with everyone else in the community, and it was just I was just getting pissed about. And when I sorry for swearing on broadcast, by the way, but when I finally let loose after I retired from the American Grand Prix, and I really raged in the forums, and I was told by William Panisi, "Okay, you're out, you're done," and he basically forbade me from speaking to anyone in GPVWC, which he couldn't really do, to be honest. He couldn't really do that. You can't prevent freedom of speech, my man. You can't.
All
So
right.
anyway,
So
enough of that.
moving on from your preaching about free speech, which we won't stray to politics on an R-Factor 1 stream. We're riding on board with Justin Meister's third hot lap in a row, I think. He currently sits on provisional pole with 3 minutes 55 seconds left in the session.
And record just spun out and he's off. But got to try out for one more lap, I presume.
So he goes through the final hairpin quite nicely, taking first gear compared to Joe Gillet's second gear through there. And now he's down the main straight, not getting a toe at all from anyone. So my prediction turned out to be wrong. But calling back to earlier, now currently my prediction's correct one. Goes down there, brakes at the 100-metre board. Second gear clips both curbs and stays well away from the Wall of Champions, and then goes through across the line for a 1:23.367. And I did find out that next to their names is actually indeed the top speed for each car. So 273 kilometers per hour for Justin Meister, which means he's running slightly higher downforce than Will Metcalf, who's got 275. Him and Ryan having a little race out the pit lane there. But Ryan lets him through.
Yes, I will say top speed doesn't really account for the do well in the corners as well. You can have a higher top speed if you want, as long as you back it up in the corners. And right now, the likes of German been all over the track, top speed of 280 kilometers per hour, and he's down all the way there. I mean, the likes of Belkins also 180 kilometers per hour down there as well. You can have a high of a top speed if you want, but back it up in the corners if you want to perform well here. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, so let's ride on board with Ryan now, who keeps complaining about his qualifying pace, saying it's not good enough. Let's see what he takes into the hairpin. He too takes first gear into the hairpin, and then you can hear that moment when he slams on the power as he gets straightened up out of the corner. So let's ride in his visor cam, shall we? You can see how much his car shakes. Not so much top speed, 275, 6, 8, no, 280 almost actually. But late to get going, and he goes on 2 wheels through there. snap bit of oversteer out of that corner there, or just losing the back end, not necessarily oversteer, and he comes across the line unable to improve on his time, unfortunately. But you imagine he spins there. That's I noticed in pre-season testing at Hockenheim, you get really well. It was meant to be at Hockenheim, then it was at Silverstone. When you go into a corner in second gear, it can be very precarious in these cars because the back end does like to just lose itself when you're in first and second gear. Mainly second gear, I found, at the spot where, once again, Vettel binned it. I mean, if you were a Vettel fan watching this stream, you would be having all of your nightmares coming back to you. But anyway, so this won't be a hot lap for Ryan because of that mistake earlier in the lap.
But it is a hot lap for Max Reichel. He's got one more chance to try and take the top spots. Jakub Kalpasic has taken the top spots so far from Justin Meister with a 1 minute 23.265. Max Reichel has a chance to get the top spots back. All he needs is just to keep all four wheels on the track and not go off at the last chicane. That's all he's got to do. Only 10 seconds lap of the session. Anyone else other than Reichel out? Yes, Justin Meister is still out. He's going to complete his hot lap, and he doesn't really... Well, actually, he does improve on it, but not by much. Oh, he's actually 9 thousandths of a second behind Kalpasic, so that's something to look out for. Peter Jones is still out. Reichel is still out. Kuchik is still out for a reading game, just going down into their hairpin with Max Reichel just exiting the hairpin now, going down the long straight before the final chicane does Max Reichel. Remember, he needs to go full out through this chicane. So he goes. There we go. And
lovely through that chicane.
Really smoothly. Is Max Reichel going to take pole position here? And he doesn't.
He's unable to. I don't know if he was unable to improve, but one thing I noticed was he takes fifth gear for quite a bit longer than most other people down that chicane. But currently, Justin Meister's unable to improve, and he's 9 thousandths of a second off of pole position. Now, will Joe Gillett be able to steal pole position? It doesn't look like he's going to have the pace, but you could prove me wrong. And no, but he does steal 12th spot off of Max Krauset. And then, if I'm correct, only Ryan Mazumda, and Fabio Lozio will be exiting qualifying because of the 107% rule.
Yeah, and Kalpasic is on pole position. I believe that's the first pole position for Cockpit Motorsport this season, I think.
Anyway, so of course...
Unless I'm very much wrong.
And, of course, we've got the warm-up now, which is is it a 10-minute session? I think it's a 10-minute session. So Ryan and Fabio Lozio both missing out on the 107. So we are going to be taking a quick break as we wait for the warm-up to finish. I'm going to go get a drink, and, and we will be back with about 3 minutes to go, ready for race 1 here at the Virtual Open Wheel Series Canadian Grand Prix, round 5 of this season 4. So, we will see you in a few minutes. there are 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the warm-up session ahead of round 5, race 1 in the virtual open wheel series here at Canada. And I forgot to turn my sound down. And the reason I have my phone up is because I just want to thank chat for being for being absolutely lovely to me. Love you guys. But anyway, so welcome back. We've got 4 minutes to go now. Ron, what do you think about that? About that first? About that pole position from Jakob by 9,000th of a second.
Well, I haven't really seen his lap, but that was a brilliant performance from Jakob, if I have to say so myself. But it's the pole position only tells half the story. You just need to get into it.
So, does that pole position give you any changes in your predictions for the races?
No, not really. Not really.
I can't see Jakob winning race 2 if he's going to win race 1. Would he be the first person to do the double, the Grand Slam? This I think actually no, yeah, he could do the Grand Slam pole position.
I genuinely don't know.
I think if he. I don't know, because I can see there being a lot of issues in the Wall of Champions in the second race. We saw that huge incident at Wales with like 7 cars involved ruining a lot of races. We saw incidents in race 2 at Brands Hatch. We saw it not so much at Hockenheim. Hockenheim was alright, but like it was it wouldn't surprise me if there was a big incident in race 2, because everyone seems to get their elbows out a bit more in race 2, because it's like, you know, it's race 2. There's not much time. It's make or break. You know, and I think, to be fair, the reverse grid doesn't really help that, because Joe Gillett there going off into the Wall of Champions. I don't know if there's... So, because, like, because back in, like, race 1, or back in last season, sorry, I need to get the words out of my mouth. It's been a very long week. So back in, like, season 3, I know it was quite... People wanted to go for the positions more, because it was that race. It was, if you get points, that's the only points you can get this week. But I think now the battle at the back is less, because people are like, well, if I make this position, that's it, then I'm not getting any points, but I could get more points next race, in race 2.
Yeah.
So it's like... So I think it kind of ruins the fight at the back, but also gives smaller teams and lesser drivers than 8-6 and stuff a chance at a podium, which is really helpful to smaller teams and people who aren't necessarily always at the front. But also I think the people further back are more aggressive in the second race, because then it's like, this is my chance. And then also the people at the front are also more aggressive, because they're like, well, I've got to make all the positions back that I know I'm faster to get. It's a horrible it's a cycle of incidents we found. But there's actually no one on the track apart from someone going very slowly, Joyce Bilkins there, which is because, if I'm correct, we've got 26 seconds until race 2. So race 1, sorry, I'm going mad.
Yes.
So, if you were a driver today, what's your strategy?
Drive fast, don't crash.
Yeah, that's fair. But are you running to go for the undercut, running lighter, and then making your giving tyre management towards the end, or are you just going to go simple? Obviously, it's always a softer soft, but simple.
Just look for the opportunities. That's all you got to do. I mean, I really don't know, to be honest. I really don't know.
Because I know the undercut has proved quite powerful in this series so far. We'll have to see.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
With the grid forming up now. So, let's find our pole sitter on the cameras, Jacob, and we'll just ride on board with him until he gets in. And is there an issue with this or not? Oh, vehicle collision mismatch. Looks like we're gonna have to restart the warm up in a second, but we'll find out. Yep, and there we go again. Ah, this always happened. There's always one in R-Factor 1. Have you ever had an experience with the famous vehicle collision mismatch one?
A couple of times, but not that much, to be honest.
Obviously, it means he hasn't installed the mod properly, because that's what happened to me in Ultra Grip on Friday. You can see what happens when the warm-up restarts. People just do donuts in the pit lane. But no, so that would mean he'd have to reinstall the mod completely, which, let's face it, no one wants to do that, especially with like 3 minutes to go till the race. But then again, if we race without him, then that's less competition, and that means less points for Goma, or less potential for points from Goma. Yeah. So it's difficult.
Yeah. Looks like everyone's going to restart to warm up because everyone didn't really get onto the grid, of course. So, yeah.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Take 2.
Alright, I'll go then. We will find Jacob. Sorry, I need to get that into my head. It is Jakob. Right, when he gets onto the grid, we will have the formation lap for you. So little delays like this can really get you out of the zone that you are in when you're going in for your when you're starting off the race, because you sit on the grid for like 30 seconds and you're like, I'm ready to go, can't wait for these lights to come on, and then it's like, oh wait, no, we have to restart. This isn't very good at all. But we've got the formation lap going. So everyone is clean in the formation lap. Is that perhaps a surprise one, or?
I really don't know. Let's just go for the grid. So on pole is Jakub Kalpusic, followed by Justin Meister in second. Max Reichel has third. Peter Jones fourth. Simon Krusic in fifth. Aegis Batas in sixth. Jason Ho seventh with Bill Metcalf in eighth. Gabriel Lafreniere in ninth with Juris Bilkins rounding at the top 10. Joe Gillett, not really a good pace from him. He lines up in 11th. 12th is Maxime Crusette, ahead of German Biermud in 13th, or Biermud. Creox Baguette in 14th. Fabio Lozio in 15th. I thought he was supposed to be out of the race due to 107% rule. And Demetrius Giannopoulos in 16th.
Now that is... So, I didn't think we saw Dimitri actually going into the... in qualifying, did we? So, has he been... Because I remember last season, the rule was specifically, it's either if you don't make the 107%, or you don't qualify, but you consistently show that you've got good pace. So, for a world champion like Dimitri, yeah, perhaps.
I think it's because he's got a back of the grid penalty, I think, from the last race. I'm not too sure. So it could be that. But more importantly, why is Lozio out on track? He hasn't qualified within 107% of the pole time, like you said.
Yeah, so what does the K button do? Anyway, so...
No. Is Lozio supposed to be out on track?
Lozio? I don't think he is. We'll have to see what's happened. But I don't know. I think we'll just let it slide and maybe they'll disqualify him after the race. But we wait for the lights now. I keep pressing my mute button for no apparent reason. We wait for the lights as the grid reforms. Now, it's a long, quite awkward wait. But we go to 3, 4, 5 red lights now. And it's lights out and away we go. And we'll switch immediately to the camera that shows the entire grid. And everyone's away quite cleanly. Justin Meister gets a very good start and goes for a move around the outside of Jakob, and he makes the move stick. So immediately it's Justin Meister, Jakob, and then Max Reichel. Simon is behind them, being pressured by Who's that? Sorry, I am messed up.
Oh,
Oh, and there's a
contact at the
spin.
back.
And there's contact at the back with
It's
Joe
Bimmer
Gillett.
and Gillett.
With B-Mode and Gillett. So, we can't have a look what happened, but now Peter Jones goes for a move on Simon. I don't know his name. I'm not going to lie. But he is possibly able to make it into this, which he looks like he's going to down the inside, but that is some quite good defensive driving from Simon there. And we'll look further back, shall we? The front stays consistent to what it was after turn 2 now. Turn 1 or turn 2. I think it counts the same. I don't know. Max Krauset goes for a move on Joris Bilkins, his teammate, but doesn't make it. They are both in a double Goma sandwich now. And
that's a huge aggressive move from Jason Ho, just going through that.
And Peter Jones makes the move on Simon Stick, and everyone's clean through the wall of champions apart from a couple of nicks, but not much. And we'll look further back to make sure that the rest of the grid gets there through. German makes it through clean as well at the back.
Oh no, he doesn't.
And now Max. Oh, does he? Doesn't need it.
He touched Peter Jones, didn't he?
Right. So now both Krauset Grand Prix cars. Contact, slight bit of contact, but not much. Both trying to make the move on the Goma car of Gabriel Lafreniere, but unsuccessfully as of yet. But I'm sure they'll stay in the slipstream, heading down that back straight there. But we'll look further forward. Jason Ho. There's a spin from Peter Jones. And we'll have a look to see. Oh, and there's a huge crash! That is quite big. Peter Jones spun, I'm pretty sure, and then got collected by the other ones. And is that Peter Jones? That's Peter Jones. There's someone's front wing is there.
It's Lafreniere. Lafreniere's lost his front wing.
And so has Peter Jones lost his front wing. No, he hasn't. It's a black front wing, so it's very hard to see. But that will be an early pit stop from Gabriel Lafreniere. And you can even get up to 48 seconds for a pit stop.
We've got an overtake going on between Karpasic and I believe that is Justin Meister just going down into the last chicane. And Justin Meister going to try around. And Reichel gets into the action. Meister takes first and Reichel takes second. Karpasic makes a huge mistake at the back there and now is relegated to third. Both the 86ers are back in front of the race as I predicted.
And once again, we won 8-6-1-2. But surely, if you were Jakob, you are not letting that stand. And
yeah, he's not letting that stand right now. He's going to try and take a position back from Reichel. They're tangling at the first chicane. Nearly going on for that. And he's cutting up a little bit. So Reichel's going to... Reichel is defending for his life here. Car position all over the back of the 86 car. And just lost a little bit of steering there, just going for the going for the second chicane, going to line him up for another pass into the third chicane. No, he doesn't. Loses a little bit of time there, but Karpasic will bounce back from this as they go down into the last hairpin, the only hairpin on the course. I do apologise. Just closing up a little bit now. Jakob needs to get the slipstream here, surely. He needs to get the slipstream here. And here he comes, Reichel. And he seems to be getting a little bit of it, going into the last chicane now. And he doesn't really just get up to speed enough of it.
Slight clip of the Wall of Champions there.
Yeah.
But we'll turn our eyes away from that battle now and look further back. Joris Bilkins hitting the Wall of Champions slightly there. And obviously Gabriel Lafreniere, I assume it's going into the pits. There's Dimitri.
And Baguette just nearly lost it at the last chicane and has conceded the place to Jones. And is now, well, I wouldn't say near the back of the field, but still. Lafreniere is at the back with Lozio in front of him. Still waiting if he's going to be penalised because, like I said, like you said, he's not supposed to be in this race because of the 107% rule. But he is in this race, whatever the cause is, so nothing we could do about that right now.
So, as it stands, we won. We'll just wait for the timings to flash across the top of your screen now. So, we won Justin Meister, Max Reichel, Jakub Karpasic, Simon I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not going to attempt that. Aegis Battars, Will Metcalf, Jason Ho, Joris Bilkins, Joe Gillett, Max Krauset, Peter Jones, German Beemood, Creox Baguette, Dimitri Fabio Lozio, and Gabriel Lafreniere. And everyone seems to be clean through the Wall of Champions. Slight bit of oversteer for Simon there, except for Peter Jones, who does quite hit it along with Jason Ho there. And we'll look further back. Joris Bilkins, can he get there? Can he get through cleanly? No, he can't. He flips the car, but yet somehow still managed to stay in his current position. But you'll have to fancy Max Krauset to look for the move. We'll go on to his on board right now into his T-cam, and he's going to go for the dive bomb, but he doesn't. And then Joris Bilkins goes a bit wide, perhaps a bit shaken up, maybe a bit of suspension damage from that earlier spin a couple of corners ago. And Max Krauset will be thinking, I am going to pass him, but he is giving him more leniency considering it is his teammate. So he's going to go through and he's going to make that move stick, and Joris isn't going to fight it. And that's Max Krauset up into P8. Easy as you like, and I imagine that'll be Joris done and dusted for P8, at least for the next couple of laps. So we are on lap 4 now, out of 18 laps, here at the Vows season 4 race at
Montreal in Canada.
At Montreal in Canada. So, as we said, we currently run Justin Meister, Max Weichel, and Jacob Kalpsic. So, Ron, what are your thoughts on this early part, on this early in the race, 4 laps in?
Well, the lead, fairly predictable. The rest of the field, pretty much unpredictable. That's what I want to say.
So, some action early on in this race, but as usually happens in race 1, we've had it's died down a slight bit. But Joris Bilkins goes for the move on German, and it looks like German doesn't give him much room. But now that's Joris on 2 wheels there, through that corner, and are we looking to stay in the slipstream, make a move earlier in this lap, and German almost foretells it, but doesn't quite foretell it, to the point that he'll need a penalty this early in the race. But then we're riding on with Jason Ho now in the Caster car. Clipper, not Casper. Caster, Clipper, sorry. And Will Metcalf goes wide there, and but Jason Ho can't capitalise on it. So now we're going down the main straight, and he looks to go into the slipstream now. Looks like he is going to be able to make a move heading into this chicane, but for some reason he slows down and doesn't challenge Will at all. Perhaps wasn't able to pull out and hits the Wall of Champions slightly. Once again, everyone seems to be hitting the Wall of Champions today. So, why do you think Jason Ho is sitting behind Will Metcalf and not really making a move when he obviously could have just then?
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Sorry about that. So, I said, why do you think Will Metcalf isn't challenging? Jason Ho isn't challenging Will Metcalf here.
I really don't know. I really genuinely don't know. He hits the wall a bit. But, how many times have I had to say this? There's still a long way to go. 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 Come on. But meanwhile, Kalpsic all over the back of Reichel now. Just was a little bit. But now he's going to take the fight to...
Try going to the slipstream. But perhaps, by the looks of it, it looks like Justin is going to go for the move. Or Max is going to go for the move. No, Justin is going to go for the move on Max. Or the other way around. One of the two. They're both in the same car. So we can't tell.
No, Reichel's actually leading.
So there is Max Weichel into the lead. So 8-6. So if we have a look at the championship standings currently, I'll make it smaller for you before we show it. So if we look at the championship standings, Justin almost. If we look at the championship standings, it is Justin Meister in first position so far. So as it stands, Max Weichel leads the championship with 3 rounds to go. But obviously, we've still got a long way in this race. About 10, 11 laps now. No, 10 laps exactly because of Rfax's weird lap counter. And so, yes, so we'll take those standings off of your screen now so you can actually watch the race. But perhaps Jakub is going to stay in the slipstream and go for a move, and we'll have a look. I thought this was down the back straight, I'm not going to lie, that's my mistake. But obviously now, in the next couple of laps, the pit lane really does start to liven up, and Jakub goes for the move into the hairpin, but he thinks better of it because, you know, he can just do it down this back straight now.
Meister kept his line tight going through that hairpin there. Could have switched to the inside, but Meister knows what he was doing, and now Carl Busic is going to try around the outside perhaps. They go down the long straight before going into the last chicane, and Carl Busic, very civilized as you like, takes second place. Meister couldn't do really much about it. And it's Reichel first, Carl Busic second, and Meister third. But for how long will it be for? Meister is actually trying to have a look on the inside, doesn't really come to plan with it. And that's what it's going to be like for now, that is.
So, remind me, who is the current reigning champion of Vals? Is it Max or Justin?
I thought we already knew this the last season.
I think it was...
I think it was Reichel.
I think it was Reichel. And...
Because I remember it was Justin Meister.
And Jakub looks
I
through
remember
the inside.
it was just...
and Jakub, let's go into the pit lane. It's fine. Well, they're late for the pit lane there. But
I remember it was Justin Meister in season 1. Giannopoulos won it in season 2. So I think it might have been Reichel, unless it was Meister again in season 3.
We watched the battle in the pit lane, and Justin Meister has actually overtaken Jakub in the pit lane with a quicker pit stop. That's something you don't see very often. And obviously they're on the same tyres and fuel now to the end of this race. And yeah, that looks like that's going to be the move done for Reichel, for Meister, for at least the next couple of laps. We'll look further back. And German, not in last place, he's in 13th actually, which is quite good for him. And everyone's coming in to make their stops now. Dimitri having his stop, and off he goes, happy as Larry. Making just simple. Not the best race for Dimitri, but he is into P9. Fallen Giants of Iris, with Dio not making a return apparently to Vals, but Jakub looking to see if he can make a move now on Justin. We'll go into his visor cam, and I think the slipstream's going to be not powerful enough down this back straight for him to make any move. He's topping out at about 277 there, down to second gear. Clips the curb on the outside, clips the curb on the inside. Easy as you like.
Reichel's actually in the pits.
And Reichel's been overtaken, I think, in the pit stops.
Not yet. Reichel's actually kept the lead.
And he's kept the lead. It looked for a second there that he might be overtaken, but he manages to put his foot down and is in the lead. Looks like he's controlling this race now with 7 laps to go. So we run 8-6-1-2 once again. Then it's Simon behind him, thinking maybe if they all come together he can pounce. But yes, so through that chicane quite nicely, Max there. I noticed these cars like to get quite a bit aggressive on the curbs. They aren't the to say it nicely, they aren't the most passive when they go over the curbs. They like to get on 2 wheels for a second, get some airtime, which looks cool. on the stream for us watching. So everyone once again is through the wall of champions nicely, the final chicane, and Max Weichel currently leads. As we said, we'll look further back to see if there are any battles, and this race has died down quite a while ago. Looks like nothing really has happened apart from this move now with Joris Bilkins, but it's not really going to be anything on Jason Ho there. He goes into the pit lane, and we'll see if there's anything happening there. He misses his pit box actually, which isn't the best for him, losing a little bit of time there. Max Carset goes past him as well, and Gabriel Lafreniere looks like he might be going past him, but we'll keep our eye on this for now. And it looks like it's going to be close, I think. Yes, Joris has got it. Similar to what happened with Max Weichel. But Lafreniere on the warmer tyres, perhaps that's going to be a little tussle we're going to see. But anyway, looking further forward, we've got Dimitri going to make a move on Peter Jones for P8. Doesn't quite make anything of it though. Until now, where perhaps he's going to look to the inside in this corner. Or no, maybe the little dummy. But no, he's way too far back for that move. So, Ron, currently, it's your prediction that is turning out to be correct.
Well, half my prediction is because I said one of the 86s was going to win the race 2. And I predicted that Jakub Kalbasic was going to win race 1. That's what I mean. Kalbasic race 2.
Yes, so it's quite hard to commentate on a boring race, as we've seen now. I mean, I'd say boring's the wrong word. We've had incidents like that huge one on the first couple of laps, but also we've had quite the second half of the race has been rather uneventful. Everyone kind of just getting into a rhythm, and as you can see, most of the gaps are at least a second, with P7 and P8 being very, very apart from each other. But yeah, the grid is very spread out, and it just looks like there's not much action on the track at the moment. So, Ron, as it stands, it's German Beard on pole for race 2. Do you think he is going to be able to turn that pole into a victory?
With his performances so far, I don't really think so. It's either going to be Kopech 86, or if they can really get a scrap on, I think is unless my alpha actor. Hold on, let's have a look. This is either going to be one of the 86, a Kopech, or if they can really take the fight, to him, Simon Kujic. That's all I'm going to say.
Now, do you think that if Simon does go up to a 1-2 position for reading game, do you think that German will let him through? I know I should probably be the one who answers this question, but I haven't got much to say at the moment, so we're asking all of the questions to you. And Simon hits the wall there, but not too bad.
Okay, I don't know, to be honest.
And now Jakub looks in prime position to make a move now on Justin Meister in the slipstream heading down the main straight, and he looks like he's going to have this move done before we even get anywhere near the braking zone for the final chicane. And we'll have a look now. He's made it stick lovely, and with 3 laps to go in this, 2 laps to go actually in this Grand Prix now, race 1. And Justin Meister goes for the move again and isn't able to make it stick there, almost gets contact. And so I think because we've not got too long to go in this race, with about 3-ish laps to go, not long at all. What do you think about Copic Motorsports season? Because it seems to have one driver that does very well, and then one driver that doesn't really make themselves It doesn't really come to the race weekend with flying, because Max Weichel has made a mistake.
Oh dear.
And that gives Jakob the lead, which is probably the shock. And now the championship goes back in Justin Meister's favour, which has been quite an interesting battle to witness on this championship recently, or during the season. And it looks like we're going to have some backmarker action with German, who is at the back a few seconds down on everyone else. But you can see Fabio Lozio there, the guy who shouldn't actually be in this race, but he is nonetheless. And Justin Meister looks like he could be going for the move on Jakob. Doesn't quite make it, though. And I love how much curb they use coming out of that final chicane, which is probably the action spot for this series. Justin, again, unable to make the move. It always seems to be just that little bit too far back. German, though, we could be seeing some, hopefully not anything dirty from him. We would hope. He doesn't seem to be the kind of driver that would let that happen. Hopefully we just see a standard letting him through and not too much trouble, but already we're seeing. And so there we go. Jakob actually he lets him through, and then Jakob goes for the slipstream completely. Justin can't make a move, and then German almost, but not really, takes out Max. And then now it's off to letting his teammate past, which you'd imagine he would do without much hassle. And the teammates collide actually, but not too bad. They're through. It's fine. And yeah, you have to think maybe that's the last bit of action we will see this race, unless Justin Meister, actually, in the slipstream, can make a very, very big dive bomb. Now, he thinks about it, but doesn't quite make it. If he gets a good exit out of here, he's almost sideways going out of that final chicane. Maybe he's going to just dive bomb him down the inside. It looks like he might do. And he sticks his nose in there and almost spins, but doesn't. I believe this is the last lap now of this race. No, it isn't. There are 2 laps to go. So, you have to fancy Justin to make the move for the lead now with 2 laps to go. 100 metre board, he brakes into second gear, takes a lot of the curb, and then not so much of the curb on the second corner in that chicane. And now he guzzles up all of the slipstream of Jakob, and then goes to make the move down into, well, Canada is half chicane heaven. But both of them now have slipstream off of Fabio Lozio, who again, we think shouldn't be in this race. And now Max Weichel goes for a move on his teammate and doesn't make it stick and hits the wall almost. But also, it's a kind of 4-way tussle for the lead, or not 4-way, but at least 2-way tussle, 3-way, sorry. And looks like he's going to be able to make a move heading into the chicane, but he thinks better of it. Does Justin? Want to have a look to see, make sure that everyone else. Oh, this is a brilliant camera angle to get this battle here. And Max Weichel goes to the inside and makes the move stick on his teammate, and that will also solidify his or make his championship lead, or give him the championship lead, I should say. We'll ride on board with Justin again. Now you have to think, Ron, do you think he's going to get hot-headed, or do you think he'll keep it cool and just come home for the team with the 2-3 finish?
I think he's just going to keep it cool now. I mean, there's no point in fighting for the lead if you really can't risk it.
But so. Simon seems to be in prime position on this final lap to go for the move on Justin, and maybe down that main straight he's going to make it a podium for Reading Game. Now I will admit, I might be getting a little. He's going to go for it. He's going to go for it. And he's done it.
He's taken third. But wait a minute. Meister's still on his tail.
Meister's on his tail. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it is very hard to stay impartial right now. So Simon has got to send him to the outside, and he's got to make sure he stands his ground if he manages to make this stick.
Michael! Oh, he's cut it! He's cut it!
Reichel cuts the chicane, and then Justin Meister.
But he lets Carl Position through, and Carl Position wins in Canada.
And then Justin Meister basically hits Simon into the wall, partly. But that was a very exciting finish to the end of the race. So, a very exciting finish to the race, and wow.
That was absolutely insane.
Perhaps the stewards will have to have a look at that final corner. But currently Max Weichel takes the lead of the championship, I think. So it's Jakob, Max Weichel, Justin Meister, and finally Simon Cook. I can't pronounce his last name. So once again, Simon. Anyway, that is the end to race 1, and we are going to go to a break now whilst we wait for race 2. So I'll use my fancy OBS tactics again. And yes, we will be back in about 6 minutes for race 2. So don't go anywhere. And we'll see you in a minute. Alright, so we are back. It is the dying embers of the warm-up session here, ahead of race 2 of round 5 of the Virtual Open Wheel Series, Season 4. We are at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and you just saw race 1, and obviously race 1 wasn't the most entertaining of races, but it had that ending, and obviously there's a lot of incidents for us to dive into.
Yeah, I mean,
for the stewards at least. So, what's your TLDR summary of the race?
I don't even know what I'm saying is still, but though, really, I just hope that race 2 really gets up to speed and really puts a shadow over race 1. Like you said, it was a boring race except for the finish. So let's see what happens.
So I will try and keep you updated on when this is happening. So grid is being sorted out right now. Obviously it is the reverse grid. So I think it's German who is on pole for race 2. Now, obviously we want to see it like overtaking, and we obviously want to see some action compared to last race, which wasn't boring by, say, Formula 1 standards. But if we're talking about the Virtual Open Wheel Series, we usually get a good race. And I'll admit, what happened then wasn't the most entertaining of races you will ever see. But we should get a good race. Race 2 is always good, and we can't moan because, well, sometimes races are good and sometimes they aren't as good as you would hope. But the point is that it's all about the championship and the bigger picture. And of course we have seen the championship change hands again with Max Reichel currently, Reichel, I'm sorry with my pronunciation, Max Reichel currently leading the championship after he beat his teammate. I think so, I'm going off the top of my head, I think it's more than 3 points between second and third. But all non-essential personnel, please leave the grid now, is the call. And we're going to go to... German can't be on pole because he isn't able to attend the race 2.
So it's Fabio Lozio who's on pole.
Which is funny because he
didn't...
Still
controversial. It's still controversial.
Because he didn't even qualify. We'll have to see what happens after the race. But we'll wait for the grid to form up and then see when we can go for race 2 here. And it's warm up again. Oh, Gabriel Lafreniere. Vehicle collision mismatch again. So we'll just ride on board with. We'll just see what Joris Bilkins is up to for the remainder of the warm up.
So I just put in the chat. Lozio fails to make the 107% cut. Pole in race 2. Where's the logic?
I know I probably shouldn't do this, but we are going to have a look at the chat now to see what happened. See what happens, because it gets a bit feisty in chat. I remember in DTM when Andrej...
I don't think feisty or gets boring, that's the thing. When
Andrej moaned at me for an incident and everyone was calling each other idiots. It was like a war, not on track, but in the thing. Oh, he did his 107 in the warm-up. And then started from the pits. That makes sense now. Okay, so we do apologise to Fabio for the mix-up. But yeah.
Please let us know in advance for next time.
Well, no, I think they probably did let us know in advance. We just, we just were gone to break as normal. So we are waiting, and there's the call that non-essential personnel please leave the grid now. I mean, it wouldn't be an R-Factor game without the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, non-essential personnel, please leave the grid now, dude. Would it? You can hear the slight whir of the engines as we wait for the rest of the grid to form up. And we'll have a look to make sure that everything's okay. And, wow, formation lap, and everyone is... I don't know what's happening. I'm not going to lie. I can't lie. We look to have a bit of confusion here.
Sorry, routine sneeze.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now?
Okay,
Okay,
now let's see.
so now something should be happening. So we'll wait for the formation lap now. Is it a 9? I think it's a 9-lap race we've got coming your way.
I don't think it's a formation lap. This one, I think.
There is a formation lap for race 2. I think we'll ride on board in case it's not. But I think there's a formation lap.
I think it isn't.
No, there definitely is because the lights haven't come on. I don't think. Hang on, we'll see. Yep, formation lap.
Oh yeah, bugger, I forgot about that. Okay, so in pole position is Fabio Losio, ahead of Joe Gutt in second, Creox Baguette in third, Jules Wilkins in fourth, Gabriel Lafreniere in fifth, Maxime Crousset sixth, Demetrius Giannopoulos in seventh, Peter Jones in eighth, ahead of Jason Ho and Will Metcalf, rounding at the top 10, Idris Bataz in 11th, Simon Kuzik is in 12th, 13th is Justin Meister, 14th is Max Reichel, and 15th is Jakub Kalbzic, the race 1 winner.
And we see the cars bounding around the track now, warming up their tyres, making sure that everything is completely at optimum heading into this second race. And I love this camera shot actually showing everyone going through there. I imagine that's going to be quite interesting in the race. Down, not the main straight, sorry, into here. I'm sorry, I'm kind of disorientated when it comes to this camera angle that I'm experimenting with. So everyone going through there, weaving to warm their tyres, as per usual. Everyone seems to be quite clean, quite normal on the formation lap, not doing anything stupid, going around that famous chicane. Not chicane, going around the hairpin. Obviously, this was where Kubica had his accident in 2008.
2007.
I think it was 2008 actually.
No, it was 2007 he had his accident. 2008 is where he won his first Grand Prix.
Oh yes, okay. Yeah, of course. So, this is a good camera angle, watching them all go down. The straight, we'll watch the grid reform, and then after the grid has reformed, we will be able to watch the race. And someone hitting the grass there, actually. But yeah, I love watching the cars weave in and out. It's like they're playing Slitherio again, which was that was probably a really horrendous analogy, but you know. We'll move on. And we're going to watch from this view, actually. This looks like a... Oh, and there's Simon going off. Oh, right, we'll watch from this view now, apparently. In fact, no, we'll go to page up, end, and there we go. That's fine. So, we're lost. Okay. This is fine. This is normal. 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go. I'm going to follow everyone past here. Everyone seems to be away cleanly, looking into turn 1. Creox Baguette looks for the move down the inside but isn't able to make it, and everyone seems to be going quite cleanly through the first sort of chicane section there. Heading down, and there's some contact, but everyone seems to be out okay. And then Jakub, and then everyone
No,
seems
Joe Gutt has actually gone back down the field, actually.
So Fabio Lozio maintains his and there's that's a big crash. George Wilkins then collects Creox Baguette, and that's probably ruined
good.
both of their races.
That's not good for Gomot and not good for Crousset Grand Prix.
No, not at all. But Fabio Lozio seems to look he's away. Let's face it, unless he makes a mistake, he isn't losing this race now. But actually, it's a bit closer than you think. I do take that back because Dimitri got a much of a better exit through there. And heading around there, I've immediately
around the outside, perhaps. No, not really. No,
I've immediately been proven wrong, and he's been pushed onto the grass, but he almost makes it stick. He's in the slipstream now. Gear 5 into gear 6. He is down. He's going down the outside, down the inside. Sorry, it's It's Saturday night. My brain doesn't want to work. And Dimitri's into the lead. The fallen giant is back on its feet temporarily, or we'll say feet. It's more like he's not fallen anymore. He's being helped back up. And Peter Jones there goes for a move, but Lazio comes back on him, and that allows Max Krauset and Lazio through. And Simon has actually had a pretty good start. He's gone all the way from 4th position back to, I think that's 5th-ish. And he makes the move again. We'll follow him through here, but Lazio makes it back on him and then goes well wide onto the gravel, and that gives Simon a nice and easy P4. But Max Weichel won't let that happen for much longer, I do imagine. He'll be like, I'm going to get him on the back straight. If he's not going to get him into the hairpin, actually, which he could well do. We're going to see if he makes it. He doesn't. He brakes quite early, making sure he sets himself up for a nice exit. Taking 1st gear through there and back out into 4th, going up the gears. We'll see how early he goes into 6th, actually. Leaving it decently late, halfway down the straight. Making sure he gets the most revs he can. And it doesn't look like he's going to be close enough on that race. And then that's Max Krauset making an issue, and that's making an error, and that's let Max Weichel through on both of them, which makes
not looking good at all.
Not much sense. And then Simon pushes him through pretty much, and follows through to regain his P4 that he earned. And now he looks like he might be in the driving seat to take Max. And we've already got more action than we had last race, which is quite good. But Max now looks around the outside, doesn't quite make it, and is quite far back now. So now Max Weichel has to look in his mirrors to see if Simon is going to be able to make a move at any point. And we'll follow this camera, even though it is actually horrendous, come to think of it, when it comes to this. We'll follow them around. And there's someone having a meeting with the wall. So again, we do. Joris Bilkins is out of the race after that 1st lap incident, and we'll watch all of the cars come bounding down that main straight. And we look at Peter Jones guzzling up all the slipstream of Dimitri, and then Simon looks like he could be going for a move on Max, but doesn't quite make it go. And through there.
Meanwhile, Kalpasic is lining up Will Metcalf.
And Gabriel Lafreniere goes for the move on Lazio. Looks like he might be able to make this into turn 1.
And there's a little bit of carnage going through the first couple of corners. Kalpasic is actually blocked off by Metcalf for only a brief period.
And then they're three wide.
Ooh.
And everyone seems to be okay, and it looks like both Kalpasic and Meister are going to go through there quite easy. Does it?
Yeah.
So Simon now, it looks like this is possibly going to be the running order, and by the looks of it, actually, come to think of it, we run Dimitri, Max, and then Simon, and then that is your top 3. I don't know where he made that position on Max Krauset, but somehow that is the top 3 now. We'll have to see what happened. Maybe there was a mistake that we missed, but again, we'll look at this camera angle to watch them all go through there. Now, this would have been a good camera angle at the hairpin in Monaco, but of course Monaco wasn't. We watch Aegis Batteurs go past Will Metcalf or Peter. I think it's Peter Jones, that actually.
It's Metcalf.
Metcalf, okay. And I think he makes it stick, does he?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Down, you have to think, into the chicane. And he does make it stick, indeed. Easy, does it?
Boy, that he's going to come back. He's actually got a better exit going out of the final chicane as Lazio goes off into a little bit of the world champions. Metcalf is going to try on the inside of Battars. Oh, they touch, but Metcalf goes through again.
Not long left in this race at all. We're on lap 5 now, so we've got 4 laps to go. 4 laps for Dimitri to hold on. Now, if there's anyone's going to hold on to this victory, as he almost spins there, actually. It's going to be Dimitri. Dimitri is one of the cleanest, most sleek drivers in this series. And going on 2 wheels for a little bit there. And Simon hits the wall quite aggressively. But it's all in a day's work.
Competition is making a move on Crowset. Nearly spun as well, but Crowset tries to hold his ground, and that's going to invite Meister onto the inside of Kalpasic, but Kalpasic just gets past Crowset, and now Crowset blocks off Meister as they go down the
brilliant to watch this move from this camera angle as well. Meister looking like he's going to make the move on both of them.
Perhaps on the outside,
on the outside.
Perhaps.
We're going to follow them through.
Ooh, no,
and no, he almost makes contact there. But doesn't quite.
With the anti-cut. And Crusek can actually make a move back then. No, he can't. He can't.
And then the other Max Reichel, is on the tail of Dimitri. And again, down that main straight where the slipstream is very powerful. As we've seen, slipstream is pretty much acting like DRS in this. Well, I suppose it is drag reduction, but to the extreme. And completely natural as well.
Giannappis must have heard you because he's trying to prevent that advantage going to the side.
Two of the cleanest drivers and most professional drivers in this league going at it with each other.
Giannappis goes wide a little bit at the hairpin, and Reichel.
That's going to invite Reichel with the better exit to stay in the slipstream throughout this down here. And it looks like he's going to make the move, but Dimitri sends him to the outside, and that is what Dimitri is good at. He will play with his food and make sure that they do not get past. And it looks like Max is going to have to let him through there, which I imagine he will do.
It looks like he isn't. He's actually.
He does let him through because
he would have just got a penalty. He does not want to repeat of Lewis Hamilton at Spa in 2008, where he cut the last chicane. He let Kimi Räikkönen through, but instead came back on him. He got a penalty after that and relegated him back to 3rd or 4th place. Massa won the race.
So now this is a good battle between, as we said, two of the cleanest drivers in this league for first position. Dimitri, this will be his first win since season 3. And with Max, this will be extending his current championship lead. Thinks better of going down the inside there. Doesn't want to break late and ruin Dimitri's day. As we said, these are two of the most cleanest drivers in the league. And now perhaps into the hairpin. He goes into neutral, Max. Max actually goes into neutral there. And that's a mistake that's probably cost him quite a bit. But Dimitri isn't able to make the most of it. He does go wide a little bit there. And now Max in the slipstream. Dimitri's shown him the inside, but shown him the outside, sorry, until he does show him the inside. But again, he stays right in the middle of the track, which is really, it's just quite impressive from Dimitri, actually.
And this could be a perfect opportunity now for Giannappis to actually defend his position. Here comes Reichel going down into the first corner, tasty on the inside, and all that's too wide.
Dimitri keeps his nose in there and defends that brilliant. This is a brilliant defensive display that we are seeing from Dimitri.
Yeah, but it's not over yet until it's all over. We only got about a couple of laps to go, have we?
This is the penultimate lap of the race. So Dimitri has only got to hold on for 2 times down the main straight. Well, if he can't hold on, he's at least got to make sure that he is in prime position for that last lap overtake, which we could see.
Yeah, and he must, and like I said, he does not want to do a Sebastian Vettel in Canada 2011. Let me tell you that much. And Reichel makes a mistake.
Reichel hits the wall, makes a mistake, and that invites Simon to go through.
Lose it.
And Simon goes through on him, and that's P2. And now maybe even Simon could go for the move on Dimitri. And
but I don't know. Look at the rear wing on Kuchek. It looks
broken. It looks slightly damaged from possibly that earlier incident that we saw. But when I said he's hit the wall quite a bit. And looks like Reichel is going to make it past him quite easily. I wonder what happened to that rear wing then. But it looks like Simon. It looks like Simon could possibly hold it, but Max does squeeze him out quite well. And it looks like heading into the final lap of this race that Dimitri is going to hold the win. And now Simon has to look behind him because he doesn't want Peter Jones to pass him. With that slightly damaged rear wing as well, which could cost him some very valuable speed heading through. And we're gonna follow this battle now. The battle, there's like 2 battles back to back, and we could see a very entertaining finish to this race. And Peter Jones goes for the spin, and it looks like it is all over. Justin Meister isn't going to be close enough, you'd think, for the move.
But meanwhile, Giannopoulos is nearly close to the line. He just needs to hope that Raikkonen does not speed up on him. This could be an absolutely devastating finish to the race if Raikkonen wins it from a couple of corners from the end. Oh, he makes a mistake a little bit. So Giannopoulos looks like he's got the race in the bag.
And we're going to watch this from Simon's perspective to see if anything happens between these two heading into the final corner of this race. And it looks like Dimitri's got it, and Dimitri is... Oh, and Max Weichel!
Oh!
And Max! And it's going to be an entertaining run to the line for P2. And I think he's got it.
Oh,
he hasn't got it! And he touches him! He touches him! It completely comes across in him. And surely that's going to be a penalty for Max.
That's definitely going to be a penalty. He shouldn't have done that.
But it runs Dimitri, Simon in P2. Simon gets the P2 in the end. Max Weichel and Justin Meister. What? We asked for an entertaining race. And oh my God, did we get it? What a second race that was.
I will say, Kutic actually beat Raikkonen by 8 thousandths of a second. 8 thousandths of a second. That's the gap.
8 thousandths of a second between the two. Dimitri is back on his feet. Now, he won't win the championship this season, but with performances and defensive driving like that shows why Dimitri is a former champion. But anyway, we have got interviews now. So if you want an interview, please do be sure that you go into the interview channel, waiting for stream interviews in the broadcast. Me and I imagine Ron will both go into there now. Max Weichel is immediately waiting, so let's go and speak to him. So, hello, Max.
Hi.
So a very entertaining end to that final race there.
Yeah.
On the stream, it appeared that you came and almost sideswiped Simon. Obviously, we know this was probably not intentional. But what's your take on the entire race? Because that was a really good first race, and then a very eventful second race with a huge sprint to the line.
Yeah, it was really fun, but I threw away the win in both kind of. Like in the first race, I was leading and then spun, which was pretty bad to be fair. And second race the same, basically right behind Dimitri fighting for the win. He had so much top speed. I as soon as I pulled out of the slipstream, I basically had no real chance. But he defended really well, and then I spun again and was behind. I was in P3, and then obviously the last corner, and then the sprint to the line, very intense. I think 8 thousandths of a second in the end. So still it was fun. Yeah.
All right, brilliant. So you are now top of the championship, I think, providing no penalties are given. So hopefully for you, you are going to win it in the end. But of course, we don't have much time for these interviews, so we're going to have to move on to the next person. So thank you for your time, Max, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks.
So now we are joined by Peter Jones. Sorry for cutting you off there, Peter.
Sorry. I was in a conversation with someone else, so that's why I was halfway through a word.
Oh, sorry. But no, so do you feel like you've thrown away a penalty? Thrown away a podium with that?
No,
with
I
that
don't.
spin?
I don't think that was my fault, to be fair. I think that the initial spin that you saw at the beginning of the last lap, that one was my fault, and then the second spin on the final lap wasn't. I think I got hit round by Jakob there, and then due to that my tyres were boiling and I could not get the power down going out the hairpin, which is why the third spin happened.
Alright, so debut full season in Vows, and it has gone quite well for you so far. So how are you finding it in the later stage of the season now?
Unfortunately, it's actually getting worse and worse as the season progresses. I mean, for instance, this round, I came into this round with, I don't know why, but I was 2 or 3 tenths off the pace, which hasn't happened so far. But I think my races have got worse and worse as well. I mean, I've never had too much luck in this series, unfortunately. So I've always either got caught up in accidents or I've spun. Half the time I don't know why I spin, but you know, it happens, and unfortunately it appears to be getting worse recently. So that's not so good. I think I have the pace for wins, but I haven't had the opportunity to show it yet.
Alright, brilliant. Thank you for your time. So we will get on to Max next. So best of luck for the rest of the season, Peter.
Thank you.
So we are joined now by Max Crousset. Now, Max, by the standards of the last couple of races, this hasn't been the worst outing for you. So
yes, indeed.
From
my own race, I was able to take 2 points for the team.
You did a Lance Stroll and did not very good at all the other races, and then turned up to your home race and drove like Michael Schumacher.
Well, I would not say.
Well, in his Mercedes, of course.
Like that, but yeah, that's closer, I guess.
So, what are your kind of plans for the rest of the season? Are you going to kind of just not really fight too hard and just have a bit of fun, or are you going to really push for like a lot of points for your team to get higher up in that team standings?
Well, I don't really have any plans for the season. I just want to have fun. I'm pretty much driving with my friends at Goma Racing, so for the rest, apart from all my admin duties, I'm not really taking it seriously. Not as a driver, I mean.
Right.
Well, I'm saying it in a way like I'm not trying too hard to have good results.
Alright, brilliant. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
So we are joined by Brian Kohler now. And Brian, so what's your thoughts on the race?
A fun race. Good race. Yes, very, very good race.
Any way to elaborate? So what about race one? Slightly more less eventful. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't even know why I'm here in the first place. I just heard there was a interview and joined. So, hello stream.
Oh my god.
Alright, brilliant. Thank you for your time. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. That has been it for round 5 of the Virtual Open Wheel series. We have got 3 rounds left now. Spa, I think it goes Monza, Spa, and then Series, which is a track made by Ron. So, that's in Greece, by the way, apparently. So, Ron doesn't actually know that I have him muted on the stream for the outro. Sorry, Ron. So, so we've lost Ron for the last for the last section of this. So thank you all very much for watching, and join us next time for he's back. So join us next time for Monza, and let's see if 8-6 can wrap up the championship, which I believe they can do. So thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you all later. Good night.